How's that for a tournament start?
Contreras across the midcourt logo. Ahead to Seacamp, and the layup is good.
Now in the right corner, wide open three with Toshik. 2 in a row, got it.
Middle of the lane with a right-handed stop.
Welcome to the Extra Points video blog, a special edition from the Summit League Tournament, Day 2, and it has been a great tournament so far for all our local teams. The SDSU and USD women both advancing, as do for the first time the men. South Dakota State's men beat Western Illinois on Saturday night 87-50, and just hours ago, the USD men defeat Fort Wayne 82-73. We get State U round 3 tomorrow night in front of what could be 12,000 in this building.
Oh, I think it's going to be full. No question about that. There were 373 or whatever it was. 97-73 is what it was last night. And they had part of the upper bowl open. I think on Monday night it's all going to be open. I think it'll all be full because there was a nice crowd in here for the game on Sunday night for USD. It's going to be an electric atmosphere, but let's not put the cart before the horse. Yeah. The women play tomorrow afternoon. USD plays in the first game at noon, and then at 2:30 it's SDSU. There's a strong chance those two will meet at 1 o'clock on Tuesday in the women's title game.
Reflecting on what we saw, let's start with the men's games first. What did you see? I mean, the Western Illinois game, that was a total domination. It looked like a team that was hungry to come out and play after what happened at USD a week ago. And the Coyotes got off to a very quick start in this game, and they held on, but you know what? They held on.
Well, they were similar starts. The difference is that Fort Wayne's a much tougher opponent, and you knew they were going to come back, and they did. They got all the way back to 6 points and made it a little interesting at the end, but it never got closer than that. Brandon Boss had a career-high 29 points, shot lights out literally in the first half. He made every shot he took, whether it be a three-pointer, two-pointer, or free throws. He had 19 points at halftime. Finished with 29 points. I still thought James Hunter was the difference in the game, though, because he was up against Steve Forbes. He had a career-high 16 points, and Forbes only had 14. So that was the difference in the game. To me, they took a 21-point lead at halftime, had enough of a pad to hang on and win. In the other game, it was a 29-point lead at halftime for South Dakota State. And they just, I mean, they were so far ahead, and they kept their foot on the gas and won by 37 points.
Last thought on the men's game. I guess first off, this has got to be one of the bigger events our state's going to see just for the crowd size. Any prediction, any thought on how this is going to go tomorrow night? They split in the season, and for a lot of the games, they were both really close in both games for much of the playing time.
Well, I think the edge has to go to South Dakota State if you're going to pick one or the other and say, well, I think they have the edge. And the reason I say that is because they get the day off. USD has to turn right around and play again tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. I guess it's not that big a deal, but they would have to play 3 straight nights. Having that first, being a 1 or 2 seed and having the first game be on Saturday and have Sunday off, I think is big. Plus the fact South Dakota State was never threatened. They got to play a lot of guys, so they're going to be even fresher than they would have been with that day off by having some players, key players, not even have to play that much.
Again, the men's game starts at 6 o'clock, but like you said, women's games before that. Let's look back on the tournament games this weekend. Both USD especially, and even SDSU, they got pushed by their first-round opponents. Fort Wayne, USD beats them 78-70. They're actually trailing with about 4 minutes left. Denver led early in the second half. Jacks go on to win 79-61.
Yeah, Nicole Seacamp she rolled her sleeves up and said, we are not, and I wish I could do it in the Australian accent because I love it when she talks, but she basically just said, we are not going to lose, just give me the ball. And she took over at the end of the game. She took over that game and was the reason why USD was able to pull out that win. Not to say they didn't have other players that contributed to the win. I'm just saying when it got close at the end, she just basically said, all right.
It was obvious.
I want my career to keep going.
Also had 8 assists and 25 points.
She did. And the other game, SDSU was just bigger and stronger. I actually sat and talked with the Denver coach and some of their players after the game was over, and they felt like they played really well, but they just lost to a better team. And SDSU's defense really ratcheted up in the second half, and I thought that was the difference in the game for the Jackrabbits.
We could get State U for the women's final on Tuesday, but they both have tests tomorrow. IUPUI, who's really long, really athletic, that's who USD gets at noon. Oral Roberts, who has a 6'7" center, plays South Dakota State. They got by North Dakota State pretty easily today. Don't want to put the cart before the horse because these are two teams that I think could present some matchup problems.
Well, it's March Madness, as Craig Smith said in the post-game interview. Anything can happen at this time of the year, and especially when it's a single elimination, because that's what these games all are. And to be perfectly honest, when you're the underdog, you got nothing to lose. It's actually in your favor. It's just that, like the Denver coach told me yesterday, they love it here. It's a great facility, but it's really not a whole lot of fun coming into the building where the USD and SDSU teams have a huge home court advantage. And I think that's going to be the difference in those games, the women's games tomorrow, is the fact that they'll have great crowds here cheering for them, and you know that 6-man can make a difference.
Too bad for them, but good for us, which is what we care about.
Well, we hope so. But again, just because we feel like they've got an advantage, that doesn't mean USD was in danger of losing that game yesterday, and they were the team that won this thing last year.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun, one way or the other. Tomorrow is going to be an incredible day of basketball. We'll have you covered here on KDLT all throughout the day, social media, you name it. Enjoy it. It's going to be pretty fun.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a great atmosphere here, and this building is sensational. It's a big time feel. If you've never been out here, if you have, you know what I'm talking about. And it just gives this whole thing, I think, just even more of that big time atmosphere. So it'll be a fun day.
No doubt. Again, games start at noon, 2:30, and then the SDSU USD men at 6. For Mark Ovenden, I'm Zach Borg. This is the KDLT Sports Extra Points video blog.